Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for the series premiere of Eye Candy, Season 1, Episode 1, K3U. And I know in my last video I said I am not planning on watching this show, but you know what, guys? I decided to give it another chance. Now, I really was not really looking forward to Eye Candy. Like, I thought it looked good or whatever. You know, I thought it would be an interesting premise, but I wasn't like, oh my god, I can't wait for the show. I wasn't like that with this show. However, I decided I'd check out the show, just to try it out, just see how it is. It's MTV. I've really liked a lot of their shows. Finding Carter's been amazing. Awkward's very good. Teen Wolf's amazing. I mean, I really love all their shows, so I wanted to see how this one was. And the first time I watched it, I didn't like it. I don't know what it was, but I did not like it, and I said, I'm not watching it. I watched it a second time, and now I love the show. I love Eye Candy. I think it is a fantastic show. It is another show to add to MTV's amazing shows. Really, it's really an understatement now to say MTV makes great programming, because this is just another one of them. It's such an amazing show. I think it's a show that I know a lot of people have problems with, but I definitely feel it's going to get better and better as it goes on. I love it so far. I think it's amazing, and just... wow, this premiere was fantastic, and honestly, so far, this is probably my favorite show, my favorite new show of the year so far. I absolutely loved Eye Candy, but let's get to the episode, because I really want to talk about it. So we see this girl, Sara, and her boyfriend kissing, and her sister, Lindy, pulls up into the courtyard of the school, tells her to get in a car. All of Sara's friends are making fun of her. She gets in, and her and Lindy chat, and you can tell that Lindy right away is a very protective sister. You can tell that. You can tell she very much cares about her, and Sara's barely talking, but this is because the reason Lindy, is so concerned about her is because she's been gone for 3 days. Sara's been gone for 3 days, and Sara asks why she cares. She says it's because she's concerned about the people she hangs out with. They are the brothers of the, as she calls them, douchebags that she grew up with, and they're not nice guys. And Sara says it doesn't mean they're bad people. She says she's just 16. Sara says she can take care of herself. She takes her to, Lindy decides to take her to a burger joint. She wants to talk about their dead mom, but Sara doesn't want to talk about it with her. She's not her, she's like, you're not my parent or therapist. And Sara says she has to pee, so Lindy drops her off near the bathroom and goes. She waits for her. She returns, and they look at each other smiling. And I'm like, okay, why are they just smiling at each other? And the second that happens, someone in a hood then appears right up to Sara, kidnaps her, and Lindy does whatever she can to stop the guy, but it's too late, and that was just a great way to start the episode. I'm like, all right, I already am really into the show, and I thought that was very well done. So 3 years later, we see Lindy talking to a lady who pretty much had the same problem. She lost her daughter. Her daughter went missing, and Lindy says, she understands. And the woman says the police are doing everything they can, but nothing is happening, and she hopes that Lindy can. And she says she will do whatever she can. She asks if she's on her computer, and she says they are already doing it, or she's doing it for her. She finds information about her daughter, Julia Becker. The woman asks how she knew. Then she snaps out of it, because this is not actually happening. This is not actually what's happening to her. She's fantasizing about it. And we meet one of her colleagues, George. And Lindy is a computer genius. She knows how to hack into websites. She's created this group called Never Forgotten Group. But the thing is, she knows how to hack into websites. And, George says that one day they're going to catch her. And Lindy says that's why she has him watching her back. He tells her it's been 6 months and she made it. She says she emailed him information on a missing woman and asks if he can leverage out the company. He says she owes him. He looks for Julia Becker's location, and we then meet Julia Becker. Now, Julia Becker, she's talking to some unknown man, telling him she knows she's late, but it's been a crazy day. And this man in his head is talking about how she might be the one. I gotta say, the guy that played the main villain on the show, extremely creepy. I mean, really, this was a very creepy scene and really made me feel uneasy, which is what it was supposed to do. That's really what the scene was supposed to do. So the man in his head is talking about how she might be the one. She's very hot, but there's something wrong with her face, and that's that her teeth are crooked. Her teeth are crooked, and to him, that's a huge problem. She didn't tell him about her flaws, and he thinks she's a liar, and she's playing her online game. And because of this, he ends up killing her. So we then cut to the intro, which is just badass intro. I love the intro on the show. It's awesome. I love it, and right away, that was just awesome. So Lindy then meets up with her ex-boyfriend, Ben, who we see in a flashback they met in a club, and he told her that she was a great dancer. But they didn't tell a lot about each other. You know, she didn't tell him how she was a hacker. He didn't tell her that he was a police officer. And she clearly wants nothing to do with him. But he says he thought he should be the one to clear her. And she asks why he's really here. He says she never gave him a chance to say it, but he's sorry for what happened. We find out that she has been in trouble with the police. So I thought this was very interesting when we saw this. And apparently he lied to her about being a cop and eventually turned her in. However, she lied to him about being a hacker. And he says he knows she's trying a lot more than 6 months parole. And she says he didn't save her. He asked her if she ever thinks of what would happen if she met him another time. She says she doesn't think about it. He says he does. He takes off her ankle bracelet and tells her she's free to go. And right away, it was very intriguing to the story. I'm like, okay, definitely Lindy has a very interesting life, and I'm definitely interested in seeing where that was going to go. So she then meets up with her best friend and roommate, Sophia, who at first I kind of thought her character was odd, out of place in the show, but then eventually I really liked her character. Sophia asks where she was. She tells her she's liberated. Sophia's thrilled, pours her some drinks. She asks if she saw Ben, and she said they are going through this again. She almost went through therapy because of that breakup, and she says she needs something stronger. She says it's fine. She tells him, it's fine, we're not getting back together, don't worry about it, and she's done. But Sophia's not convinced because her mother used the same excuse on her father and always came back. Now, Lindy says, this is because of money or whatever, but she says, basically she says that her and Ben have a very close connection, and with a love like that, she'll always come back for more. So, definitely, I thought this was very interesting, and she confirms it's over, and so Sophia says that that's true. If that's true, then tonight they're going to have fun. She's not going to think about Ben, and she needs to get back into the dating world. And she says she is living her life, but men don't define it. They toast to freedom, and basically Lindy comes home, hacks into the NYPD website, searches for Julia Baker, and no files come up. She doesn't realize that she's dead. We see, now I'm like, okay, why are there no files coming up? Obviously the police would be investigating a murder, but maybe that where she's hidden, probably because of where she's hidden, because we see someone kick a soccer ball, and, basically that lands right to under a bleacher, and there's where Julia's dead body is in place. So that's why I don't think there's been a police investigation, which some people complain about, but honestly, I think that's why there hasn't been an investigation about it, because of the fact that Julia, was basically, what happened with Julia was that she was killed, and she was hidden in a place where no one would find her. That's why they haven't done an investigation. So Lindy and Sophia talk about online dating. Lindy says they are not kids, but Sophia has already made her a profile. Lindy says she can hack it. She says that is the kind of behavior that that got them in there in the first place. She's going to get over Ben tonight. She's going to find someone new. And Sophia has given her profile name, Eye Candy, on this site called Flirtual. Now, Flirtual, think of it as like a Tinder or like a Zoosk or any kind of those online dating sites. That's basically what Flirtual is. So they go into a club and we meet Connor, Sophia's other best friend. And he asks why Lindy's there, and she never goes out. She says plans changed. Lindy says, and you can see right away that Lindy and Connor, they do not get along. Just because they are friends with Sophia, they don't get along at all. So, basically, she tells them straight out, just because they're both Sophia's friends does not mean they have to pretend to like each other. So, he asks since when she was trolling Flirtual. She says it was all Sophia's idea. He says that is a weapon she has in her hands and needs to know what she is doing. He takes her phone. They both look at men. They click on a man, and he's at the club, walks right over to Lindy, and he tells her she lived up to her name. And he says he was just about to leave, but asked her if they can get drinks sometime. And she says she has friends, too. They put on this stupid thing. He says it can't be that stupid because he met her. And basically then we see her meeting a bunch of other men. There's this guy she meets like a pediatrics doctor. There's this other guy that is kind of suspicious. I mean, the guy that asked her to play cards kind of seems suspicious to me because he says his name and he's like, you want to play cards? I'm like, okay, that's a little weird. Really at this point, what I'm thinking is that, because I already knew what the plot of the show was, so I'm thinking, okay, there's definitely going to be something that's not right here. So, after the night, Lindy sees Tommy, who works with, he works with Ben, and, I thought that was interesting, that twist. I thought that was a good twist overall. He tells her as part of her parole, she should not put her hands on near a computer, and she says that she's reformed now, and he doesn't have to worry about it, and he says that if he was her, he would camouflage himself to find more missing people. And he tells her that he knows about the NYPD database hacks. Obviously, he knew about that because they get, signs about that, and it has her signature written all over it because who else would have done it? Who else would have done it? She's very concerned about finding missing people, so obviously, she'd be the one to hack into it. So he says just because Ben still loves her doesn't mean he won't do his job. She gets a mysterious text, obviously from one of the guys she met, who tells her it was great meeting her tonight, flirts with her. She gets very scared when that same person texts her about a car that almost hit her, and she goes onto the computer, onto Flirtual, hacks into her profile, and sees that someone's watching her through her camcorder, which freaks her out, and, I mean, that would freak anyone out. So, clearly something weird is going on. You know, people are on her Flirtual profile, someone's hacking into it, and it's very weird, because we see that, like, there are these pictures of her and things like that, so clearly someone is hacking into her Flirtual account. So Sophia and Connor come home, and she is completely, like, terrified right now. Like, she's completely terrified, and they're concerned about her. So she tells them that someone's spying on her through her camera, and Connor says he had a peeping Tom once, put a giant mirror in his window, and she thanks Connor, you know, made him stare at himself all night. She thanks Connor and tries to find the hacker and sees who the creep is. However, when she turns it on, she sees the horrific death of Julia Becker, which is from someone she just met on Flirtual, and I mean, that's really weird. And she says that, basically decides that she's gonna go out on a date with this guy to see who he is, and Sophia tells her, you know, it's a terrible idea, but I understand, it makes sense why Lindy's doing that, because, I mean, the one thing they always say to do is to meet this person in person, you know, and do it in a public place. So, what a better way to do it than to go on a date with this guy. So, Connor says maybe Sophia feels responsible for putting her on Flirtual. She says she will help her if she does it. Excuse me, sorry. If she does it in the club, she goes back to the club and talks to the guy that asked her out for drinks. They talk about technology. Sophia feels it's all her fault. Connor's convinced he is the guy. And Sophia realizes that he's bad. Whenever Lindy doesn't trust someone, she fidgets with her finger. And she meets with a bunch of the other, you know, the same men that she met with before. And she eventually decides to hack into this guy Peter's phone. And Peter seems kind of suspicious. The bartender can tell what's going on, tries to warn her. Peter comes back, and before anything can happen, Lindy tells him she has to go, but then realizes he picked her up her phone by mistake. She looks at him for him and tells him she thinks he took her phone by mistake and everything. Because at this point, you know, anyone's a suspect. It really could be any of the men. She pretty much thinks that one of the men she met is doing this. But she then realized that Peter has been murdered, and she then gets a text from the hacker, who's like, well, I thought that, you know, I thought we were going to be together and everything, and that was just a crazy, crazy twist, but I love seeing that. I mean, this hacker is so fucking smart. This hacker knows what they're doing, and just, the hacker's a genius, I gotta say. I'm gonna talk about why the hacker's a genius. There's more things that the hacker does that's more of a genius move, but this right here just made me realize the hacker's a genius. So, with all this going on, Ben and Tommy have decided to help her track the guy, and Tommy says as good as a dead end, the guy knows what he's doing. She shows them what she did, but warns them it's not legal. Tommy says they won't be mad and she won't go to jail. She shows them how she hacked in the Flirtual. She cross-referenced the NYPD missing persons database against all missing persons users. 3 other New Yorkers have gone missing, and in the past month, she thinks someone is using Flirtual to stalk and kill people, but Tommy isn't convinced about this. You know, he doesn't think that she's really he doesn't think that that's really what's going on. I think she's over-exaggerating. And he says that she needs more than just a hunch. She needs more than just that. She needs to tell them more because they don't understand it. So, but Ben is very concerned. You can tell that Ben still loves her, and Ben follows her back home and tells her he's staying with her until they can find a protective detail organized. He promises her they will catch the hacker. He goes to shower and tells her they should order takeout. He tells her he has an idea. Maybe they should get out of town for the weekend. However, Lindy is nowhere to be found. So when this is happening, I'm like, this is crazy. So he searches for her with his gun out, ready to kill anyone that gets in his way. Finds Lindy on the roof where she says she needed some air, and he says she should cut him a break. She says he doesn't look like a cop. She needs to see his badge. She says she doesn't believe in guns. They kiss, and he tells her this is not fair because he's virtually naked and she's not. Then they have sex on the roof, and then after sex, she tells him how she always imagined, and I thought this was a great scene. I definitely really enjoyed this because, again, it shows that she's very interested in finding her sister, and we finally get back to that. So she tells him how she always imagined stars were billions of people, billions of people, and somewhere out there, one of them is her sister. Ben says she has done everything she can. Lindy's starting to think she will never find her. He tells her when ships were lost at sea, they used the star to find their barracks. Someone had to have seen what happened to her sister and cared for her, loved her. Ben says it will take one star to show them the way. Lindy gets a call from Ben. He says he's spying on, base, and I thought that was definitely really good, what they said. I really like that scene. So Lindy's back with George and everything, and she gets a call from Ben. He says that he is spying on Reese and his date. They're apparently back together and going on a date, which is interesting. I thought that was good that we saw Lindy and Ben back to her, but I'm like, okay, this is happening very fast. Something's going to happen. The hacker then sends her a message that he's coming for her, and the hacker is at Sophia's apartment. The killer's in there with her. She calls a taxi, calls Sophia. She tells Sophia to get out, and she realizes that it was actually just a recording because Sophia's not even in her apartment right now. She is at a club, and this is when I'm like, the hacker is just so genius because this was the hacker's plan. It was only a trap to lure Ben to her apartment, and that's why he did. So she goes into the apartment, and Ben gets into a fight with the killer. Lindy rushes home, looks for Ben. She sees nothing except a weird hooded mannequin and a laptop. And the hacker tells her to sit down, and this is probably the creepiest scene in the episode. She asks where he is, and then there's Ben. She asks him if he's alright. He tells her not to come looking for him. It's too late to save him, and the hacker forces her to say she loves him, and the hacker shuts off the video before anything happens. She runs down the street looking for Ben until she realizes the hacker has killed Ben, and, basically, Ben was killed, and I gotta say, I love the show for doing that, because it really seemed like Ben and Lindy were gonna be, like, the main couple of the show. It seemed like they were gonna be the ones you root for, but now that Ben's dead, now Lindy has lost her true love, and she's lost possibly her sister. So, you gotta feel bad for Lindy, and I think the way they handled this next scene was amazing. I loved it. I can understand if you guys think it was cheesy, but I think it's a bold move for them to kill off someone who could have potentially been a very big character and kill him off the first episode. They have a lot of balls to do that, and I applaud the show for doing that. When a show takes risks, I like that, especially for MTV. MTV definitely, this is probably their riskiest move yet, because this show is very gory. The sex scene was actually pretty graphic. It really was. For MTV standards, it was very graphic. I mean, definitely the show is taking a lot of risks, and I really like that. So, she cries hysterically over Ben's body, and Tommy forced her out of the crime scene. A bunch of police arrive, look at the evidence presented, and the next day she looks around town, and basically now, I love this scene because she's sitting on a park bench, and she sees every single man, and she gives them these scowls, because now basically every single man she sees is now a suspect, and basically, we see a narration. The hacker tells her that he had to kill Ben, but she will understand why later. He asks if she's the one, the ideal. He says she made it this far, but they are just getting started, and that's how the episode ends. And wow, this was an amazing premiere. I loved this premiere. I think there were some great things about it. And let me talk about some of the things that I definitely love about the show. First of all, one of the things I love about the show is the mystery aspect of it. A lot of people, I kind of thought the show was going to be like Finding Carter almost at some points, but it's nothing like Finding Carter. Because this is by far MTV's, as I said, most riskiest project yet, because it's very graphic, and the scenes are graphic to the equivalent of, like, The Following. Like, they are very, very graphic for MTV, and I think it's really great that MTV is doing that. I saw a preview for this new movie they're doing called Unfriended, and I really want to see it as well. I definitely think they are handling this very, very well. It's actually a very creepy show, and I think they're really, really good. Now, let's get to the acting in this show. The acting in this show is actually really, really good. I think the acting is absolutely fantastic, and overall, I just think the acting is great. So, Victoria Justice, I've always been a fan of her. Sometimes I kind of thought sometimes she was a little bit annoying at points. But this show, I was kind of concerned about how she was going to be, because I never really saw her as a big, like, adult actress. And I gotta say, she is actually a very, very good actress. She was very good in the show. She handled everything very well. Some people said she was overacting, but honestly, I don't think she was overacting at all. I think she handled everything perfectly. She's a very, very good in this show. I definitely want to see what else she does. And I like that she's trying to move on to more mature stuff, definitely. I mean, seeing her do a sex scene in the first episode definitely shows she's trying to move on to more mature stuff, and I think I like that she's doing that, because she actually is a very good actress, and I want to see her do more of this stuff where she gets to play more of a, a more dark role, and I definitely like that about her character. Casey Diedrich as Tommy, I thought he was good. Nothing too special about him. Harvey Guilan as George was great. Kiersey Clemens as Sophia, I love her character. I think she is great. I love Sophia and Connor. They really are the comedic relief to this show. Sophia is a lot of fun to watch. I definitely love about her character. She's the perfect friend to Lindy. She really does care about her, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of her character. Very, very good character. Definitely really enjoyed her. Directing on this show is also very, very good. Directing is fantastic. It's actually very, very creepy. It made me feel uneasy at points. There were some scenes that definitely did make me feel uneasy and were kind of hard to watch, and I actually really applaud the show for doing that. The mystery aspect of the show is great. The narration, oh my god, the narration on the show is so good. I love the narration. The cinematography is amazing. I mean, the scenes where you see the crime scenes, they're amazingly done. The cinematography was great. Editing is perfect as well. I could see if someone thinks the pacing moved a little bit too fast, but I thought it moved along perfectly. I was into the story the entire time. And let me talk about some of the other things I really liked and things I want to talk about. Now, some people complained how they kind of got rid of the whole, that girl that was killed. They got rid of it. Now, I feel that they're going to bring that back in episode 2, and now they're going to talk about it more, and I feel like that's what they're going to do, is that they're going to bring it up more, they're going to talk about more, we're going to see more of that, and I definitely feel that that's not the last time we see something of Julia Becker's death. We're definitely going to get to see more of that, and if that's true, I'm definitely looking forward to that, because I want to see more of that. I want to see more of that, and I think that's a very interesting plot. Now, as far as who the hacker could be, I have no idea at this point, but I definitely feel whoever the hacker is the same person that kidnapped her sister. Definitely there's a connection there. I mean, think about it. She wouldn't just randomly get some hacker that hacked into her profile. Clearly, this hacker has been after her for 3 years, ever since her sister was kidnapped, and wants to find out what's going on there. Lindy, I kind of feel like she's going to go back to jail. I could definitely see that happening. I could see some bad happening to her because of that. It seems like Lindy definitely is a risk taker, someone who wants to break the rules, someone who doesn't really listen to people. Like, she doesn't listen, she doesn't think. She only does what she wants to do, and I think that's very good. I actually really like that about her character. I know this is based off a book, but I know it's very loosely based, which I think is really good. The writing in the show is also very, very good. The screenplay in the show is so good. The dialogue is really good. I love the scene where they're talking about the stars. I think that's a very good scene. I definitely really enjoyed that. Here's pretty much what I think is going to happen. I think this season is going to be finding the hacker, and by next season we'll already know who the hacker is, and it's going to focus more on Lindy, more, I definitely feel her life's going to get more and more complicated as it goes on, but I already love the show. I definitely really enjoyed it. I think it's probably the strongest premiere of this year so far, out of new shows, that is. I definitely loved this premiere. Honestly, it's the most surprising show by far this year. I absolutely loved it. I can't wait for a second episode. Let me know what you guys saw of this premiere overall. I definitely really enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for tonight's episode of Pretty Little Liars. If you guys think the show is cheesy, I can understand that. And the show also does handle drama very well. I gotta say, them killing off Ben is a great twist, and I definitely really enjoyed that. And I can understand if some of you saw it coming, but I didn't know that he was a guest character, so I didn't really see it coming. So, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in my next video. Okay, bye.